Stan Lee was a prominent American comic book writer, editor, publisher, and producer. He began his career in comics in 1939 and played a pivotal role in the evolution of Marvel Comics, transforming it from a small publishing house into a multimedia corporation that dominated the comics and film industries. One of Lee's most significant contributions was the creation of Spider-Man. In 1962, he co-created Spider-Man, the alter ego of Peter Parker, a teenager who gains spider-like abilities after being bitten by a radioactive spider. Spider-Man's debut in Amazing Fantasy number 15 marked a turning point in comic book storytelling, introducing a hero who dealt with personal struggles and everyday problems, resonating with a broad audience. Another major creation was the Fantastic Four, introduced in 1961. The team consists of Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing. After exposure to cosmic rays, they gain superhuman abilities and become a superhero family. Their debut laid the foundation for the Marvel Universe, showcasing Lee's ability to blend personal drama with superhero action. In 1962, Lee co-created the Hulk, a character who transforms from the mild-mannered scientist Bruce Banner into a giant, green, and immensely strong being when angered. The Hulk's debut in The Incredible Hulk number 1 introduced a character who grappled with inner turmoil and uncontrollable rage, adding depth to the superhero genre. Thor, the Norse god of thunder, was introduced by Lee in 1962 in Journey into Mystery number 83. Thor's alter ego, Dr. Donald Blake, discovers his true identity and becomes the mighty Thor. This character brought elements of mythology into the Marvel Universe, expanding its scope and appeal. Iron Man, introduced in 1963 in Tales of Suspense number 39, was another of Lee's creations. Tony Stark, a wealthy industrialist and genius inventor, builds a suit of armor to save his life, and later uses it to fight evil. Iron Man's debut marked a shift towards more technologically advanced heroes in the Marvel Universe. The X-Men, a team of mutants each with unique powers, were introduced in 1963 in X-Men number 1. Led by Professor Charles Xavier, the X-Men's debut brought themes of prejudice and acceptance to the forefront of comic book storytelling. Doctor Strange, introduced in 1963 in Strange Tales number 110, is a former neurosurgeon who becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, defending Earth from magical and mystical threats. Doctor Strange's debut added a mystical dimension to the Marvel Universe. Ant-Man, introduced in 1962 in Tales to Astonish number 27, is the alter ego of Dr. Hank Pym, a scientist who discovers a chemical that allows him to change his size. Black Panther, introduced in 1966 in Fantastic Four number 52, is T'Challa, the king of the African nation of Wakanda. As the Black Panther, he possesses enhanced abilities and is a skilled warrior. The Avengers, introduced in 1963 in The Avengers number 1, is a team of superheroes assembled to combat threats that no single hero could withstand. The Avengers' debut showcased Lee's ability to bring together various characters into a cohesive team. Lee's work extended beyond these creations, contributing to the development of numerous other characters and storylines that have become integral parts of the Marvel Universe. His approach to storytelling, emphasizing character development and moral complexity, helped redefine the superhero genre and left a lasting impact on popular culture. Jack Kirby began drawing comics in the late 1930s. He worked with writer-artist collaborators to create groundbreaking characters and teams that reshaped the comic book field. Captain America debuted in Captain America Comics number 1 in March 1941 as a patriotic soldier wielding a shield. He partnered with Bucky Barnes, a young sidekick, and faced the Red Skull, a fascist leader. This character introduced wartime heroism into comics. Silver Surfer spun off from the Galactus storyline in Fantastic Four number 48. He was an alien wanderer, pondering morality and cosmic purpose. At DC in the early 1970s, he launched the Fourth World Saga. The New Gods debuted in New Gods number 1 in February 1971, including Orion, Big Barda, and mystical villain Darkseid, ruler of Apocalypse. Mr. Miracle arrived in Mr. Miracle number 1 in April 1971 as an escape artist battling divine forces. Forever People debuted the same year as a team of young heroes from New Genesis. These stories built a mythic setting where cosmic good and evil clashed. In 1976, Kirby wrote and drew an oversized adaptation of the film 2001, A Space Odyssey for Marvel Treasury Special, and a 10-issue monthly series expanding its cosmic themes. This introduced a sentient robot hero, Machine Man. Kirby's output included over 20,000 comic pages and around 1,400 covers. He crafted striking visual storytelling, dynamic layouts, cosmic entities, mythic worlds, and narratives blending personal struggles with grand settings. His legacy endures through characters and cosmic epics that remain central to comic and broader storytelling. Alan Moore began writing comic strips for fanzines in the late 1970s, before working on British magazines such as 2000 AD and Warrior. In the early 1980s, he joined DC Comics and reshaped several iconic characters and series. He took over Swamp Thing, starting with issue 20 in January 1984, introducing new characters like the eco-villain Floronic Man and exploring themes of identity, nature, and existential crisis. This run transformed a horror-tinged comic into mature literature within the superhero medium. Moore wrote Watchmen, a 12-issue limited series. It featured a deconstructed superhero group, including Rorschach, Dr. Manhattan, Silk Spectre, Night Owl, Comedian, and Ozymandias, and examined moral ambiguity during an alternate 1985 nuclear standoff. It became the only graphic novel to win a Hugo Award and earned a place on a major best novels list. He wrote V for Vendetta, focusing on a masked revolutionary named V, political rebel Evie Hammond, the authoritarian Norsefire regime, and leader Adam Susan. This dystopian tale of resistance against fascism was serialized in Warrior and later collected by DC. In March 1988, Moore released Batman, The Killing Joke, a one-shot graphic novel that traced Joker's origin and explored parallels between a vigilante and a criminal mastermind, centering on Batman, the Joker, Commissioner Gordon, and Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon. He wrote From Hell, a meticulously researched exploration of Jack the Ripper's murders in Whitechapel, London, detailing suspects, historical context, and conspiracy, published as a long-form graphic narrative. He created Promethea, featuring college student Sophie Bangs, who becomes a magical entity embodying imagination, mysticism, the Tree of Life, and futuristic New York themes. He also co-created Tom Strong and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the latter gathering Victorian literary figures like domesticated dominatrix Rosa Coote, Detective Dick Donovan, and others into a steampunk team exploring an alternate universe. He wrote Miracle Man, also known as Marvel Man. The story featured Michael Morrison, a pastiche of a Golden Age hero, who uncovers his identity and evolves into a godlike being, pioneering an introspective, revisionist take on superheroes. Moore also published literary and experimental works such as The Ballad of Halo Jones, Voice of the Fire, Lost Girls, Neonomicon, Providence, Jerusalem, a 1,266-page novel in 2016, and The Great When, 2024 to 2025, expanding into prose and magical performance. These works transform the medium by applying literary structure, formal experimentation, mature themes, political critique, and occult symbolism, elevating comic writing into a respected art form. The writer Frank Miller began drawing for the Twilight Zone comic before joining Marvel and DC publishers. He rose to prominence with a gritty style combining crime drama and superhero stories. He took over Daredevil until February 1983. He introduced Elektra, a deadly assassin trained in martial arts who became a love interest and foil for Daredevil. He scripted Elektra's death by Bullseye, adding shocking intensity and emotional stakes. He released Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, a 5-issue miniseries that explored Daredevil's origin, childhood accident, blindness, Catholic guilt, training under mentor Stick, college romance with Elektra, friendship with Foggy Nelson, and rivalry with crime lord Kingpin. He revolutionized Batman lore with The Dark Knight Returns. This 4-issue series featured a 55-year-old Batman returning from a decade-long retirement in a dystopian Gotham. He faced the Joker, the government-controlled Superman, and mentored Carrie Kelly as the new Robin. The series reignited mature themes in superhero comics. He followed with Batman Year One, which retold Bruce Wayne's early crime-fighting days alongside rookie detective Jim Gordon. It emphasized realistic crime scenes, psychological tension, and Gordon's battle against Gotham corruption. He created Ronin in 1983, a 6-part series for DC featuring a disembodied samurai spirit reborn in a dystopian New York to confront a shape-shifting adversary. He launched Sin City with the short story The Hard Goodbye within Dark Horse Presents. It featured anti-heroes in the corrupt Basin City. He wrote and illustrated 300, a 5-issue series recounting King Leonidas' stand at Thermopylae. He also wrote The Dark Knight Strikes Again, a sequel to The Dark Knight Returns, and All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder, a controversial take on a young Robin mentored by a harsher Batman. Grant Morrison began in the late 1970s with short strips such as Time is a Four-Lettered Word in Near Myths No. 2, 1978, and the superhero Weekly Captain Clyde in local Glasgow newspapers from 1979 to 1982. They first gained international recognition in the late 1980s with Animal Man at DC's Vertigo imprint, where protagonist Buddy Baker gained the powers of nearby animals and eventually became aware of existing within a story. Morrison revamped Doom Patrol, reintroducing the team of misfit heroes superheroes, fully restoring the series with surreal plots and meta-narrative elements. Their 2005 to 2008 limited series, All-Star Superman, focused on Superman after a solar overexposure grants him immense but fatal power. The 12-issue run explored Superman's final heroic acts and deep compassion. Their 1989 one-shot, Batman Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, examined Batman entering a psychiatric prison housing his main enemies, becoming one of the best-selling original graphic novels in superhero comics. Morrison wrote JLA, reuniting the Justice League to save Earth from cosmic threats. Beginning in 2004, they penned New X-Men for Marvel, number 114 to 154, reimagining the mutant team under Professor Xavier, introducing concepts like secondary mutations and the characters Zorn and Quentin Quire, revitalizing the title. They crafted The Invisibles, a 6-volume series published by Vertigo involving a secret organization of the same name fighting an oppressive alien force. The story mixed metafiction, mysticism, punk culture, and timeline shifts. They released We 3, about 3 bioengineered animals turned into lethal cyborg weapons, exploring themes of innocence and violence. They scripted Joe the Barbarian, an 8-part Vertigo mini-series that followed a diabetic youth, Joe Manson, whose blood sugar drop triggers a vivid adventure through his London flat populated by imaginary companions. They led major DC Universe events including Batman R.I.P., where Batman confronts the psychological Black Glove organization, Final Crisis, and Batman Incorporated, concluding an ongoing Batman storyline begun in 2004. They compiled Seven Soldiers, a meta-series across 7 interlocked miniseries, and The Multiversity, a guide to parallel Earths in the DC multiverse. Each major work reshaped its genre through inventive narrative structures, modern themes, and philosophical depth, making Morrison one of the most influential contemporary comic writers. Geoff Johns began writing for DC in 1997 and quickly became one of its most influential storytellers. He rejuvenated the Justice Society of America in JSA, spotlighting heroes like Stargirl and Black Adam to restore Golden Age heroism within modern storytelling. He revived Flash in The Flash, number 164 to 225, rebuilding Barry Allen's legacy with storylines like Our World's at War, and reinvented villains like Hunter Zolomon while maintaining Wally West's role. He relaunched Green Lantern in Green Lantern Rebirth, leading to Sinestro Corps War, where Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, Jon Stewart, and Kyle Rayner battled Sinestro's Yellow Ring Army. It set up Blackest Night, which featured the rise of the Black Lantern Corps. He wrote Infinite Crisis, a 7-issue sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. It significantly impacted DC continuity. He authored Flashpoint 2011, which altered major character histories and led to DC's New 52 reboot. He scripted Doomsday Clock, bridging Watchmen's Adrian Veidt and Dr. Manhattan with the Justice League, exploring global meta-human policy through the Superman theory concept. He led major crossover events like Trinity War, involving Justice League of America, and Justice League Dark in a quest over Pandora's box. He wrote Justice League, The Darkseid War, starring the Justice League battling Darkseid and Anti-Monitor, concluding the New 52 era. He authored Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds, uniting Superman and multiple versions of the Legion of Superheroes against Time Trapper and Superboy Prime. He also relaunched Shazam with Billy Batson, rediscovering powers via the Rock of Eternity, forming a foster sibling superhero team with Freddie Freeman, Mary Bromfield, Eugene Choi, Pedro Pena, and Darla Dudley. Each of these works reshaped DC's mythos, rejuvenating legacy heroes, expanding cosmic lore, rebooting continuities, and deepening character development across interconnected universes. Chris Claremont began writing for Marvel in 1973 with Daredevil number 102, featuring Daredevil and Black Widow defending California from Stiltman. His landmark work began in Uncanny X-Men number 94, reintroducing the original X-Men team to new members and launching a run that lasted 16 years. His storytelling for the X-Men included Dark Phoenix Saga, where Jean Grey becomes the cosmic-powered Dark Phoenix, balancing immense power with tragic downfall. He also penned Days of Future Past, featuring a future where mutants are interned and Kitty Pryde transfers her mind to prevent catastrophe. He created New Mutants in Marvel graphic novel number 4, introducing young mutant heroes to train under Professor X and form a new team. He co-created Jamie Madrox, Multiple Man, in giant-size Fantastic Four number 4, who could create duplicates and later joined mutant teams. He revived Magneto in Uncanny X-Men number 104, bringing back the mutant master of magnetism as a main antagonist. He also wrote X-Men God Loves, Man Kills, exploring themes of prejudice through X-Men, Professor X, and activist artist William Stryker. He wrote the crossover Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans, pairing the X-Men with the Teen Titans in a prestige format story featuring Dark Phoenix and Deathstroke. He launched Excalibur with Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, Captain Britain, Megan, and Rachel Summers as a UK-based mutant team. He left Marvel in 1991 and launched Sovereign 7 at DC, introducing a team of 7 alien refugees. Returning to Marvel in 1998, he wrote Fantastic Four, 29 issues plus 2 annuals, and introduced Valeria Richards, daughter of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. He returned to X-Men titles in the early 2000s, writing Uncanny X-Men and Extreme X-Men, then co-wrote New Excalibur, featuring Nocturne suffering a stroke. His major works established mutant teams, created iconic characters, and addressed social issues. Brian Michael Bendis began his career in the early 1990s, writing and illustrating crime noir stories like Fire and AKA Goldfish for small publishers. He then moved to Image Comics, where he co-created Powers, a blend of homicide detectives Christian Walker and Dina Pilgrim, investigating superhuman crimes. In 2001, he joined Marvel's mainstream line, starting a defining run on Daredevil, rebuilding the character's world and tone. He launched Alias under Marvel's Max imprint, introducing former hero-turned-investigator Jessica Jones. He led Ultimate Spider-Man, redefining Peter Parker. He introduced Miles Morales in Ultimate Comics' Spider-Man, revitalizing the character's legacy. He transformed Marvel's team books with New Avengers, assembling key heroes into a modern lineup. He crafted major crossover events, including House of M, where mutants lose their powers in a global crisis, Secret Invasion, Siege, and Age of Ultron. He shifted to DC Comics in 2018, taking on Superman and Action Comics, developing family-focused storylines and redefining Clark Kent's role as a father and hero.